there's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Tuesday Brewsday. So I thought I'd revisit the Commander League that we do here at the store. I've explained it in videos in the past. I'm just really not interested right now in Standard because Standard is rotating soon, so it's kind of pointless to brew a Standard deck. And I'm not really that into the future Standard League. I think it's dominated right now by Goldspan Dragon. I think Goldspan Dragon is one of the last problem cards from this Standard that doesn't rotate because it's just the power level of Goldspan is just above and beyond the rest of the cards in the mix. That and like Expressive Iteration really work well together to create like a kind of a deck that is above and beyond the rest of the decks, I would say, that are out there. So I'm hoping that we get some sort of sacrifice effects or tempo strategy that can combat it from Innistrad. So we'll have to cross our fingers and wait and see. But that's what we really need is like a target player sacrifices. A lot of sacrifice effects I think would be great to combat Goldspan. Anyway, that's a video for another day. Still also not interested in like Pioneer or Modern. The power levels of those are just too high. I like to play more of a tit for tat Magic, and both of those are just wombo combo or must answer threats. And speaking of which, that's also why I don't particularly like Commander. I've said that many times on this sort of video series and other times that Commander just feels like you're pushed into playing high-powered cards in the moment. Every new set they come out with a pre-con Commander just seems to be putting out more and more must-play cards, and again, the power level is just too high. I kind of wish that everyone could have experienced old-school Commander. I started playing Commander back in Dark Ascension, and I thought it was much more fun back then as is now with just having so many high-power wombo combo-y nonsense, and every pre-con Commander just continuing to print these cards that are just like strictly better than other ones in the slots, and the power level is just creeped up. Unfortunately, Magic doesn't have a way to reset power level in Commander, so the only way we can do it is through what we call these leagues. So I've showcased these before. I'm going to give you an update on the Trelasarra, the Moon Dancer. So Trelasarra is my main right now. I do have 5 different Commander decks we built. So let me give a TLDR real quick on the overview on our Commander League. What you do is you start off with an entire booster box of set boosters from the latest set. So right now we're in the Forgotten Realms Commander League, and you build a Commander deck just using the cards you open up from the set booster. Then any product that you open for like a draft, or if we do any sort of sealed, that can be used in your Commander League, as well as every 3 losses you're allowed to buy a pack, and every 9 wins you get a promo. We have a big promo box. You get a random promo that you can go. Plus, we give out promos each week from the Wizards of the Coast's promo packs that they give out to people that play in your store. And then every week you can also add a pack, and you're not limited on what packs you can buy. So you can buy like Commander Legends, Jumpstart, Theme Boosters to add to it, and anything you open can be added to your Commander deck. So over the course of, typically these last from set to set, so you got a good month and a half, 2 months. A little bit over that even, that you can actually play these commanders, and you start to build up an actual Commander deck that's pretty fun. And I like this because I'm a brewer and I'm a limited player, so you get best of both worlds. You get to put on your brewer hat and start to figure out what cards actually work together from your pool, and you're limited. It's not going back to, throwing in cards that are just wombo combo-y. So Trelasarra, this is the one. Of course, I am the Soul Sisters player, so this has a Soul Sisters feel, and it does have a lot of synergy with older sets with even +1/+1 counters. We had a couple sets that worked with that. A lot of things have gain life, and this is just a very efficient card. It scries 1 every time you gain a life, and that is very, very good in our Commander League at the moment. So this is how I built Trelasarra. So first of all, Trelasarra is going to want other cards that work off gaining life. So right now we're allowed to have 2 copies of each card. At the beginning of it, we're allowed to have 4, and then once you're up to like, I believe 6 additional packs, you're going to 3, then 2, and we're going to keep it 2 until 4. I think it was 4 weeks, or maybe 2 weeks before rotation. I can't remember when we go down to 1 card, but by the end of this too, one of the goals of this Commander League is people actually have a Commander deck that then is pretty decent. It's of course going to require some upgrades, but if you want to just keep it kind of casual, of course you can upgrade a little bit, fix the mana base, and you actually do have a Commander deck. So I'm running 2 Celestial Unicorns. These are things that are also going to be like a Johnny Pridemate type cards that get bigger and bigger as you gain life. And then Cleric class. Unfortunately, I only open up 1 Cleric class, and Cleric class is super good because whenever you gain life, you put a +1 counter on a creature you control. and it also allows you to gain additional life every time you do gain life. So it works with our life gain strategy. So how do we gain life in this deck? We have a lot of ways to do so. I did open up a Druid Satchel from, I believe this was a promo that I won. So again, every 9 wins, you get a random promo. So we open up a lot of Commander Legends. This one's came from C21. We open up every one of the Commander decks and put all the rares as promos, so it's just random what you get, but I was able to get a Druid Satchel. This one's kind of cool because if you get a non-creature, non-land card, you gain 2 life, or you get a green 1/1 Sapperling, which is not bad, or if it's a land, you put it on the battlefield. So all those are pretty decent for this deck because we do have a little bit of a go-wide strategy I'll show you later. And then Druid class is another one that allows you to play an additional land per turn. Every time you play a land, you gain a life, so that's going to gain you a lot of life. We have double of the Steadfast Paladins with lifelink. Typically, there's someone's open that you can hit early on. We have a double, oh no, only one Healer's Hawk. I opened up this from a Theme Booster, Celestia's Theme Booster from Guilds of Ravnica. We have 2 Potions of Healings. They cantrip and gain 3 life. We have a Treasure Chest. Only opened up one of these suckers as well, but it has a possibility of 50-50 of gaining 3 life and creating and drawing 3 cards. This is what really hurts too. So most uncommons you get 2 of when you open up an entire set booster box. I only do all the pre-releases, so you're allowed to put all the pre-release packs in there too. Unfortunately, I only opened up 1 Prosperous Innkeeper and 1 Cleric Class from all of the pre-releases and all of the in the set booster box I opened. And unfortunately, this is one of the main reasons to be running this strategy is these 2. So this guy is going to be your Soul Sister. It's whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. So it hurts. It hurts that was the 2 uncommons that I'm missing, the 2 ofs, end up being 2 that are really good with Trelasarra. There are some uncommons I have like 6, 7, 8 copies of each. I mean, there's even rares that I had 5 of that, of course, we cut down to just 2 of. One of the rares I opened was pretty bad. What was it? Red card. It's just kind of like a really bulky red card that didn't really fit in any decks, and I'm like, I had to open up 5 of these. Anyway, Inspiring Bards are okay. Like, of course, this one does want to be replaced a little bit, but gaining 3 life is not bad. And we have a bunch of these type of cards, like the Priest of Ancient Lore is preferable to that because it gains a life and draws a card and puts out a creature. Centaur Peacemaker, everyone gains 4 life, but it doesn't matter. You're just worried about gaining the life. Same thing with Loxodon Restore. With Convoke, gain a life. And we do have the Knight of Autumn, which is actually really good in this format because there are artifacts and enchantments that are worthwhile killing, or gaining 4 life is fine. And same thing, speaking of enchantments, the 2 Dawnbringer Clerics. This card's actually super good because there are a lot of classes in our pools here that this Dawnbringer Cleric can destroy, or it just gains you 2 life to put those counters on your commander. So we do have that kind of go wide strategy. We have a Voltron type strategy. Let's go into the next category here. I think we're going to see the other aspect of this set, which is the Venture. I kept a bit of a Venture in this list. So we do have the Elwick Tumblestrum. So if you do ult and venture and complete a couple dungeons, then this does become a good finisher. When you get an emblem, it gets +2/+2 for every dungeon you completed. What's really cool about this card is it does venture into the dungeon, and it does dig you for cards. So the -2 looks at the top 6 cards, and you may put a creature card from one into your hand. If it's a legendary, you also gain 3 life. That's kind of cool with some of the legendaries we have. 2 of the Wandering Troubadours. These, whenever a land enters the battlefield, at the beginning of your end step, you venture into the dungeon if you have the land entered. Nadar, this card's super sweet. Glad I got 2 of them, because when it enters into the battlefield, you venture, as well as every time it attacks, and then when you complete a dungeon, it gives you +1/+1. You'll see we do have a little bit of a go-wide strategy. And then Varus, same thing, once per turn you get a venture if a creature into the battlefield, and then whenever you complete a dungeon, you get a 2/2. So pretty good. And 2 planar allies, because typically someone is always open for planar allies to attack into and then start venturing. So you just have more of a venture list in this. I've cut it down. I do have an entire venture list that I'll have to show you. It's blue-white. The next category I am going to show is going to be our draw outlet. So I have started to get some good draw cards. This came out of open up a cat Jumpstart. This was like the only good card. Oh, I think there's 2 cards out of the cat that worked with this. But the Keeper of Fable is good because you can oftentimes draw 2-3 cards because each opponent you hit actually triggers. So whenever one or more non-human creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, so it triggers off the player, you draw a card. So if you hit multiple opponents with cards, you get a draw. The Werewolf Pack Leader, this typically is not that great because it starts getting outclassed, but it can oftentimes draw you a couple of cards before it gets dealt with. I have 2 of them. Immune to the Tavern is pretty good because it's a draw outlet by looking at the top 5 cards of your library. Statistically, you're going to hit at least 2. But it also has this Start a Brawl, which +2/+2 to all creatures when we get our Go Wide type strategy can actually be lethal, at least to one opponent. And the Rangers class is going to be very good because once we get up to level 4 or level 3, you can start looking at the top card and casting creatures. This ended up being a really cool. Oh, I think this was in the cat one too. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it on the battlefield. So this is going to get a ton of value in Commander. It's one of the more powerful cards in our format here. So Lurking Predators is very awesome for 6 mana. It starts to get a ton of value, puts in a ton of work here. All right, so let's go on now to dig for those particular enchantments. We have the Samala Woodshaper, which is good. Look at top 4 cards, you may reveal a creature enchantment and put in your hand. So it's just a cantrip and to dig for that Cleric class or Druid class or whatever. And if I want a specific one, Moonblast Cleric puts it on the top. So I got those suckers. Fortunately, I'll open up one of these too. I think I'd want to run 2 in this deck because they're super good for, you know, finding lurking predators. Alrighty, so let's go on to this next one here, which is I guess kind of the go wide type strategy. We have you hear something on the watch that can give all creatures +1/+1 at instant speed or deal 5 damage. 5 damage typically does take care of most cards in this format. We have 2 of those. With the Imperious Perfect because you can create a 1/1 elf creature each turn. It also does pump up your commander. And surprisingly, there are quite a few elves in this. Like we had a couple elves that we just showed. They end up just happening to be elves. I think there's a couple others that I've already showed that were elves, and a couple more that I will show. So there you go. Ledev Champion is an elf. Little way to pump them up. But this is a nice little mana dump to start creating 1/1 creature tokens with lifelink. Pretty cool here. So late game, you start having a lot of mana. You can pump into it. We have the Flower to Flourish that can get us a land or get +2/+2. So nice little cantrip. I got this Storm Herd too, which is kind of cool, which creates a 1/1 white Pegasus creature token with flying. We're extra life total. We're a gain life deck. It's going to give us usually 40 Storm Herd ones, and then something like a Flower to Flourish can just win the game. So not a bad card to include in it. It's pretty high mana cost, but this state does get stalled up a little bit, and having something like a Storm Herd for even 10 mana can actually just win you the game. We do have some board wipes running around right now, but all in all, it's usually that's what ends up happening is the board does get stalled. So here are kind of some flex cards, or this is actually my ramp pile. So we did open up a Hamza Guardian of Irration, which this does have some synergy right with our commander because this spell costs 1 less for each creature you control with the +1/+1. Our commander's going to have a +1/+1, so it's cost 5 and reduce all our creatures by at least 1. And there are a few other ways to put counters on stuff, like you saw with the Cleric class. You can start actually pumping out some creatures. 2 Circle the Dream Druids. It's pretty good, guys. Cradle on a stick. End up opening up 2 of them. Gift of Paradise is kind of nice. It fixes /ramps, gains 3 life, does everything you want in this deck. I am running the Neverwinter Dryads right now because they have a little more synergy of just ramping. I think they're just better than just running a basic land. So 2 of those, it just goes and get forests and put them on the battlefield. And we do have a Circuitous Route, which goes and gets 2 basic lands or gates. I'm not running any gates. I did open some up, but I typically don't like tap lands in just a 2-color deck. Just my cup of tea here. Let's go on to last but not least is the finishers. I try to pick up a bunch of tramplers that if it Cleric class then can put it on the tramplers. That's the way we can push through. The Citadel is kind of nice because it gains you life and tramples. Owlbear's cantrip and tramples. It's a Talpa. This was one of my promos I was able to randomly get, which Flying Double Strike, Vigilance, Indestructible, Tramples, fine. Pride Malkin, this was out of, I think, the Cat Jumpstart. So enters the battlefield to put a +1 counter on a creature, and then each creature controlled with +1 counter has Trample. So it's a way to get my commander Trample. We have 2 Ochre Jellies. They're actually kind of meh, but they have Trample. And then we have just one of Froghemoth. And then it has Trample and Haste, and whenever it deals combat damage, player X up to that many target cards from their graveyard. If you can hit an open player, this is pretty good because you can put +1 counters on it and gain life. So gain life for non-creatures, so it's another way to pump up your commander. So that's kind of my Trampler package. And then we do have some flex cards, like a Swift of Boots. This was my first promo. I got super lucky. Oh no, this is out of my set booster. That's how I got it. This sucker, I believe, was a Swift of Boots out of the flex slot. Is that how I got it? Oh, okay. This one is just saying M25 because I'm using one in every deck. So yeah, I was out of my set boosters off the list. Then we have a couple ways to get my Commander Trample. I used to have more of these, but I've cut down because I just want to see one per game. This is Nature's Way. It kills something and it gives Vigilance and Trample to probably my Commander. Choose your weapons, kind of nice because it can double a target creature's power and toughness, so I can one-shot someone with 21 Commander damage. And Wild Shape can kind of act as a hexproof if I needed to give hexproof, and then if not, I can turn it into a 3/3 trample and sometimes get through enough lethal with my Commander. So typically that's how the game kind of plays out. This one's kind of more boring, I would say, than some of the other Commanders that I have. I'll have to show some other ones in the future. Like I said, I've got the blue-white Venture. I've got a mono-blue deck that just tries to recur Tasha's the mail card. That ends up being actually pretty bad. It's typically my commander for that is whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. And it's okay. It's an okay deck. I have the black-red one that you can give it all creatures -X is how much mana you've pumped into it. I'm trying to think of some of the other... Oh, I have the equipment one. But my two ones I like to play are the blue-white and the white-green one. Those are the ones I'm on right now. So I like this kind of format because it keeps everything fresh. I highly, highly encourage you to ask your local game store to start something like this because it's really good for the local game store too because it's a great way to sell packs because it gets people excited to actually open up packs. It gives you an excuse to open up packs. It makes your drafts actually more... interesting too because then people want to draft for their league deck because we allow any sealed product that was opened up for events to be put in your commander deck because again you're limited to one-ofs eventually. It doesn't really make it too broken and it encourages people to actually come and play at the store. That is the magic of Magic. Magic is about playing with people. Arena sucks. Arena is just toxic and I hate Arena. It just makes me angry. Whereas playing Magic with your friends is exactly what this is about. There are better digital games out there than playing Magic the Gathering, in my opinion. I really think the only reason to play like a Magic Online or Arena is to kind of hone your skills, or if you just don't have access at the moment, or like I really like it for kind of theory crafting of testing out decks. But all in all, I think the beauty of Magic is still the gathering. It's still playing with your buddies, and League is a great way. It's a great way to connect and have fun with your play group. So highly encourage you to talk to your local game store and see if you can set something up like this. You can always message me and we can tell you our rules. We've done this now for like 5 sets in a row. Commander Legends, Kaldheim, Strixhaven, this one. I thought we had one other too. What was the set in between it? Anyway, I think this is our 5th league we've done, and we've learned a lot from those 5 leagues about how to kind of do this. We used to give like points for first blood. We used to give points for, but right now we're just mirrored. 3 wins or 1 win for how many opponents you survive through, and 1 loss for every opponent that beat you, so that you didn't survive through. And then there's incentive, like people with losses, you end up getting packs, which doesn't makes it so losing doesn't feel as bad. Plus, it keeps it more like if you lose a lot, then you have more cards to work with. So it's just kind of there's no really feel bad scenario, I think, in this. So right now we don't even have a prize for like the end of the league. It's just really come and play, and right now it's just bragging rights for people that win more of the cards. Plus, the more you win, though, you do get a bunch of free promos that do add up. We have some good stuff in there. Like I said, we opened up a Double Masters VIP. We opened up there was a $70 card in that. I think it's already been pulled, but we opened up one of all the commander sets. We opened up all like a collector's booster from every set just to kind of spice up the prize and whatnot. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. No, it's not a traditional brew of what I used to with Rogue Deck Builder, but I'm still playing the game, still enjoying the game, still liking kind of limited situation for this, and still playing Magic. Hope you enjoyed this video. Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.